Today, I decided I wanted to try the legendary Lenovo T480. So, first thing I did was I went on eBay and bought the cheapest one available. That's right, I spent $70 on this. And I'm wondering if it's a biohazard. That is disgusting and sticky. Ooh, and it stinks a little bit too. But what can $70 get you in a laptop, and especially the Lenovo T480? Is it really as good as people say it is, and how does it stand up in 2025? All right, let's take a look at this thing. Like I said before, I think this is a school laptop, but it's got some tape here. Screen looks pretty good. It will have to be cleaned up because it is kind of disgusting. But let's open it up and see what we got. So, using this handy dandy thing, which guys, I would definitely recommend a electric screwdriver. They're so nice. Luckily it seems like there's very few screws. And Lenovo didn't hide any under the feet, which is very nice. All right, that looks like all of them. So now I just need to pop it off. There we go. Hey, there we go. Wasn't too bad. All right, set that aside. And here's our inside. Hey, look at that. Still the original internal battery. And it's not bloated or puffed up in any way, so that's good. All right, looks like got our cooler here. A little bouncy, that's all right. Let's see, over here is, if you had this is the Wi-Fi right there. Got our speakers here, and this is our hard drive cage, or in this case, it's C, but I think this is, yes, this is the NVMe adapter, not the SATA, which means to put storage in this thing, we will need an NVMe SSD, which I have ordered and is on the way. But for testing, I'm just gonna grab the one from my computer and put it in here to see if this thing will boot. I guess we'll check out the RAM here. All right, looks like we got a stick there. Laptop came with 8 gigabytes. Oh no.
Courage.
That's a sin right there, guys. 8 gigabyte single channel. Woo, losing out on a lot of performance. So might see if I can get the same one, or maybe I'll just get a 16 gigabyte kit. Because 8 gigabytes in 2025, it will get you through, but won't be able to have too many tabs open. Okay, let's get an SSD in there. Here we go. This is from my computer, this Sabrent Rocket NVMe 4.0. I doubt this thing supports or has PCI Gen 4, but so we won't take full advantage of this drive, but it should be fine. There we go. And toolless operation on this, just kind of snaps in there. Okay. I forgot to put the shield on. That's all right. It will be fine for testing purposes. All right. I'm going to set this back on. Kind of snap it together a little bit. And we'll flip it over. What's also very nice is these screws do not come out. So can't lose any screws there, which is very nice. Does it pass the one-handed open test? No, it doesn't. But to be honest, so does my Lenovo ThinkPad P1 Gen 6 barely passes that test too, so kind of sad, but anyways, let's turn it on. Make sure you guys can see it. There you go. Hey, look at that. It's going into Windows 11. That is very nice. Hey, I heard the sound. Hey, and we're in too. Check that out. This trackpad feels like it's the plastic trackpad, but because it's the Lenovo T480, you can actually steal parts from other generations of the ThinkPad, and so you can actually upgrade this to a glass trackpad, which is very nice. All right, we are in Windows. Let's go check out to see what display this is. All right, must not have the drivers for the trackpad yet because I'm not able to scroll, but let's see, 1920 by 1080. Okay, so is this the touchscreen or not? Probably not. It doesn't look like it, but maybe it doesn't have the drivers. I don't know.
All right, now I'm gonna start cleaning up now that I know that everything is working correctly. And while I'm cleaning, I think I should talk to you guys more about this laptop. So this is the Lenovo T480, and the version that I have is powered by the Intel i5-8350U. So you can also get up to an i7 in this laptop. Mine came with a single 8GB stick of RAM. It came with no storage and no external battery. Also, the hinge on this laptop goes a full 180, which is very nice. All right, so next let's talk about the screen. In the screen, there were several different models of screens that you could get, and you can take things from like the T490 and put them on the T480, and one of those is including the screen. All right, so looking at the ports on the T480, it comes with a USB-C port on the left and also a Thunderbolt 3 port as well. If we go to the left side, we have a full-size SD card, which is very nice, a full-size Ethernet jack, and then we have one USB-A port, which I'm pretty sure is 3.0, and then HDMI, another USB 3.0 port, and a headphone/microphone jack combo. The keyboard on the Lenovo T480 is quite nice. I gotta say, it is very firm. It's not like squishy or anything. I mean, it is a great typing experience and a great keyboard overall. I enjoy it a lot. And of course, in Lenovo fashion, you have the track point as a different way to control the mouse or cursor on your screen. So overall, I am a fan of the keyboard, and also the keyboard does have a left-right click on it, which is nice because you don't have to move your hands down to the trackpad. If you need a click, they're just right there where your thumbs are resting. So that is very nice. And then the center point that you see is for the track point, so you can scroll. There are two varieties of keyboards that you can get for the T480, or maybe it already came with one of them, but there is a backlight version and a non-backlight version. The backlight versions do go for a bit more, but they're only like $5 to $10 more, and I think it is definitely worth the upgrade if your T480 or one that you're looking at doesn't have the backlit keyboard.
All right, just cleaning up the thermal paste a little bit. Got the CPU cleaned off. It was a little bit crusty. I know I didn't run any tests beforehand, but I'm just gonna replace it anyways. And it's a nice mirror finish on the CPU, so that looks great. The fan actually looks pretty clean. I did wipe it off a little bit, but there's no like huge amount of dust in it. Looks like it was fairly well taken care of, or at least cleaned before it was sold. But now I got some Noctua thermal paste here that I got when I was building my desktop computer. So let's just put a little bit on here and put some over here. All right, now I just put the cooler back on. There we go. All right, let's snap this thing back together. All right, put the screws back in. There we go. Oh, one thing it is missing this foot over here, so it kind of likes to twist. But overall, not too bad. All right, so let's boot it up again and maybe run Cinebench and some other tests to see how the temps are doing and things. Windows is finally updated. The drivers are installed. We are going to run Cinebench, and we have hardware monitor open over here to monitor the temperatures to see if we're thermal throttling or not. And by the looks of it so far, we're running at 80 degrees on the CPU, and we're not doing anything yet. So not a good look, but let's go ahead and start a multi-core because, let's be honest, it would take forever to do single core. All right, there it goes. And why not throw FurMark into there to stress the GPU at the same time? There we go. Our temperatures have actually gone down when we put more load on the system. Nice. Well, let me get you guys closer here. All right, so see, Cinebench is going. And we got FurMark going. Looks like we're at 720p and getting about an average of 8 FPS. And then over here at hardware monitor, package is running, CPU is at 69 degrees. And let's see, using 12 watts of power. And if we open up Task Manager here, and it looks like, interesting. We're only using 50% of the CPU. That's a bit odd. Everything is at 50%. Memory is basically full. And we're using all the GPU. But that's weird, only 50% of the CPU. And it says we're running at 0.89 gigahertz. That is weird. Is it thermal throttling or something? But the temperatures are great. Only 68 degrees. Oh, okay. Let's try to restart and see if that makes any difference. All right, so after a restart, you can see now we're using 100% of the CPU. And looking at our temperatures over here, so far we're at 77, 78 degrees. Got Cinebench going. Go look at our temperatures again. Up to 78. So I think it's safe to say that we're probably around 80 degrees max. Yep, that's what it says over here. 68. It's amazing to me how different the graphics temperature can be compared to the CPU, even though they're on the same die. All right, so this thing seemed pretty good so far. I mean, everything seems to be working. Fingerprint sensor works. Here, I can show you that. Check it out. And we're logging in. Then I noticed that like the number 6 key like wasn't registering anything, and volume down button doesn't work. Volume up works. See? Put volume down, nothing. And when I would copy something with Control C, it wouldn't do anything. See, it just places the letter C in there. So I was like, I wonder if the keyboard is dying or is dead. So I went to a keyboard tester. If we start testing the keys, look at all those keys. The ones that are black there are the ones that don't work. Look at all those over there. Scroll, pause, F8, F9, F1 and F2 don't work. So that means muting doesn't work, which is correct, it does not. This doesn't work. Both 5 and 6 don't work. This control key doesn't work. And it doesn't have a Windows key on this side. So that's why it shows black there. But yeah, minus and equal sign don't, oh, never mind, they do. That's interesting, because before they weren't working, but now they are. So something seems a little iffy, and I'm going to remove the keyboard, make sure it's plugged in, just to see if it's a connection issue or maybe it's a little bit dirty in there. So that's what I'm gonna attempt to do, and if that doesn't fix it, then I guess this keyboard is bad and we're gonna have to replace it. All right, so it's been a week and the parts have finally come in. So what did I end up getting? Well, let's start out with the main thing that I needed to get was a new keyboard because, well, as you've seen, some of the keys are not working on the original. So hopefully this one will fix that problem and hopefully doesn't feel too much worse than the OEM one, but we'll see. And then this laptop did not come with a power adapter, so I picked up a 65 watt, cheapest one on Amazon, and by Super AC adapter. So hopefully it works and doesn't catch fire, but we'll see. And then the next thing is the computer didn't come with storage, so I got the cheapest SSD on Amazon, which is the Silicon Power 256 gigabyte drive. It says it has 5-year warranty, but you do have to activate it and stuff. I don't know if you want to do that or not. Hey, it was only like 20 bucks, so can't get much better than that. And then I decided to get a 16 gigabyte kit of DDR4 for it, because right now it's only in single channel memory, which, if you know, is not good, especially for integrated graphics. And you can get like a good 25% boost just by switching to dual channel memory. And plus, this is a 16 gigabyte kit, so we'll have double the memory, which is awesome. So let's start upgrading this thing. Wait, hold on. One more thing. This isn't something I bought, but it's very nice. Check this out. See, there's no exposed pins or anything. That's because somebody designed this on the internet, found it on printables. Basically, a battery cover. So if you're not using the external battery, you can just put this in instead, and it covers up the connections and makes it look a lot nicer. So shout out to the person who designed that, and I'll have a link to it in the description if you want to print it yourself. All right, now let's start upgrading this thing. Alright, so it's been a couple of days, gotten used to the upgrades and things, and we are now going to look at the performance in one game, really to show you guys how important dual channel memory is. I've also been using the replacement keyboard, and it is not as nice as the original. Like, it does work, but it does not feel the same as the OEM, the original. Which is disappointing, but hey, rather have a working keyboard than one that doesn't work, so yeah. Also, the 16 gigabytes of RAM is nice. It is definitely more future compatible now. And the game that we're gonna test is Rocket League, because it's my favorite one. All right, Rocket League is loaded up. So before when we were running in the single channel memory, we were getting, this is set the 720p low settings, or as they call it, 720p high performance mode. And everything is set to performance, and we'll set the effect intensity to low intensity because that's what I had before in the single channel memory. And as you can see in the menu, well, you might not be able to see, but we are getting around 60 to 70 FPS in the menu. So let's go and hop into some training. All right, we'll just hop into this one here. All right, and it's kind of hard to see what we're getting, but this is one of the harder maps to run, and we are getting a solid 60 FPS. As you can see, it's smooth, whereas before we were only hitting about 30 FPS. 20 to 30 FPS before, and now it is just locked on 60, sometimes dipping into the high 50s, but that is awesome. But honestly, it looks pretty terrible right now. So what happens if we go up to 1080p? Ooh, that looks better already. All right, still in high performance. All right, now we're getting 45 FPS. 15 FPS drop, but man, it looks so good now. It looks a lot better. And still no lagging or stutters. This is a playable experience. Honestly, for Rocket League, this isn't a terrible laptop. And it's just using the integrated GPU because that's what it has. But yeah, pretty awesome. All right, guys. Well, honestly, the Lenovo ThinkPad T480 is definitely still relevant in 2025. It's definitely not a gaming beast, and it's not gonna edit your 4K videos, but honestly, it never was in the first place. It only has a Core i5 in it, but the graphics are good enough for some light gaming, like some esports titles, which is nice. And the original keyboard was very nice to type on. The one that we replaced it with, it's not so good. If you can find an OEM replacement, if you get a laptop or the T480 with a broken keyboard, definitely try to get an OEM one because the Chinese knockoffs, they are not it. But there is lots of online resources for this thing, like this nice battery cover, which if you want to print it, it's down in the description. And honestly, this one has the 1080p IPS screen, which looks fantastic. The Lenovo T480 is a 14-inch laptop, and so it's a bit smaller than you might think it is, because it looks pretty big in the picture there because it's in front of me. But there's so many customizations and upgrades you can do to this thing. You can even upgrade it to a touchscreen if you want. They have, or you can take things from the T490 and like the glass trackpad and stuff like that, and actually install it on the T480. And of course, like you saw, you can replace the keyboard pretty easily. It's just 2 screws on the back here. Just remove those, and then the whole keyboard slides forward and out. So that is very nice. And to get the back cover off, it's all screws, and you don't have to take out the feet to get to the screws, which is also very nice. And of course, you can upgrade the memory. There's technically 2 spots for SSDs if you do not have the additional modem card, but you can equip it with a modem if you want. So you can access the internet anywhere, which is pretty awesome. So I absolutely love the Lenovo T480. It is pretty power efficient, and you can get external batteries to upgrade the battery capacity, you have longer run times, and because it has that internal battery, you can have multiple external ones and swap them out when they run dead, and the laptop will still stay on, which is pretty awesome. And you can get upgrades all the way to like a 72 watt hour external battery. It is thick, it does stick out, but hey, that will cooling and give you some insane watt hours for a combined total of like 92 watt hours, which even some premium laptops these days don't even have. So especially not in a 14-inch laptop. But yeah, overall pretty good. And I am absolutely in love with this thing. I think it was definitely worth the $70 price that I got on eBay. And then of course the extra costs, which add up to around $160 in total, which you're gonna get way more performance and upgradability and repairability than pretty much any new laptop that you get. So honestly, I would recommend, especially if you like tinkering with things, because this Lenovo T480 is amazing. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.